Ladies and gentlemen, tonight on Sportswire Radio, buckle up because tonight we have a guest that, if you're a fan of backyard wrestling and underground wrestling, especially in the state of Michigan, you very well might want to buckle up and go down to memory lane because our guest, he certainly once upon a time was a prophet of prime time. He was the king of Kyles, and that might be a controversial take on this show, quote unquote. That might have been a few days ago. We'll certainly maybe or maybe not get into that. He was the Oracle of Opportunity, and he was the Duke of Detroit. Boy, they could have used him in that NFC Championship game a few months ago, and they could have used him on the diamond if he was the Duke of Detroit. But nevertheless, it was 15 years ago, and our guest started his journey in the backyard in the underground wrestling circuit. It led him to gold in the HCW, Hybrid Championship Wrestling. It also led him to the UWW World Championship. 3 times the EBW champion, an influential member in DBW, not that DBW always talk about, Detroit Backyard Wrestling. And also, he was a member of the legendary Global Backyard Wrestling Network. People still talk about to this day, and especially on this platform's history. When we think about Michigan and Sterling Heights, Michigan, and we think about a who's who of people, Chris Payne and Ryo and Damon and all those other big names that our guest here had wars with, he'll talk about it. But he'll also talk about why is he back now? Because sure, in a different generation, kind of like last week's guest, a guy, Jacob Frost, who returned to the yard. Our guest here has also returned to the backyard in the underground wrestling circuit, and I will ask this question, why? Why has our guest returned? And after all, we see a different last name. He used to be known as Keppen, but now, well, he's known as, let's just say, Shelby. So Keplin, Keppen, it don't make a difference because now he's got a different name, but he's the same face. He's got the same memories. Maybe we'll put a few of those matches on the screen. We'll talk about his journey here and some. Ladies and gentlemen, since after all, we are in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all wrestling matters, I know that our guest has heard many of these introductions. I know that our guest has seen many of his brethren from the Michigan backyard and underground wrestling circuit to have gotten this introduction. He's the lucky man right now. He gets to have the bottle of water. I have to do this each and every night without the bottle of water, but don't you worry. I'll grab something shortly because I've been doing this almost like those who ride a bike. I don't need no training wheels. I don't need to be able to do a name with the Dark Den podcast or a name to say I'm a champion with an HPW1 or 2.0. It don't matter. All of it, ladies and gentlemen, I've said enough. Our guest wants to go beat me up if I don't give him that introduction. So let's give him that introduction that he has long waited for here for months and give you what those in the Michigan backyard and underground wrestling circuit have been waiting for a very long time. So let's get right to it. So Rico!
Yeah. You know? Woo!
Wait for further ado here on the Sportzwire.
What's happening?
Number 1. Sports Show. A man who needs no further introduction, but for 15 years has been a driving force in the backyard and the underground wrestling circuit in the state of Michigan. He is simply put the prophet of prime time, the king of Kyles, the oracle of opportunities. He is the name, the Duke of Detroit, Kyle Shelby.
I have to take it in. 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 And I have to say thank you so much to Sportswire Radio for having me on tonight. It is a very huge privilege. I really appreciate it. Man, this is going to be a great show. I'm a fan, big fan. Um, you
Yes,
know,
thank you for the kind words you gave me actually a few days ago. I've had this bizarre summer, and I don't know why,
oh,
but thank you for the kind words.
absolutely, man. Absolutely. You said you were going through it. I was like, man, I
Yeah,
can't, I
I
can't just
don't
let
really
them.
like. I don't. I mean, I don't post really much on Facebook about like my personal stuff because we do this every day, and I'm basically a public figure
Right.
at this point. I have other jobs that basically are what they are, and I just had this weird summer. I was in a 7-Eleven like 2 months ago, and the guy was like piss pumping like 4 kids, and I've been running into him ever since. And it was in the street and whatever it was, but it's all well for now, and I'm fine in a bag of chips. But Kyle Shelby, we used to know you as Kyle
Yeah.
Kaplan once upon a time. You are now as Kyle Shelby. And for those that may or may not know, you are certainly a driving force in the Michigan backyard in the underground wrestling circuit. And I know that you are here with us and you have made a return. And I was wondering, especially for those in this generation who may not remember some of the things you did yesteryear, but for those that are listening and watching here in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all wrestling matters, the Duke of Detroit, Kyle Shelby, tell us why have you decided to return to the backyard and the underground wrestling circuit?
Man, when I left almost 6 years ago, it was more so out of political reasons. It was more so that I couldn't stop running my mouth. And that's my problem. I'm a guy that sees problems in the business. I'm the guy that sees problems in the yard, and I really want to fix them. I grew up in the era of CM Punk,
Yep.
flipping John Laurinaitis's, ties. So I kind of was raised with that type of mentality with the stuff I was viewing as a kid. And I'm not using that as an excuse. No way. And Phil Brooks, if you're watching, man, I mean no harm. I was just following your lead, brother. But no, so when I left, it was, I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave. It was more so people wanted control over something that realistically, skill wise, they had no right to take over, right? Because when I started DBW, it was all about let's put backyard wrestling on the map. It's
Right.
boring here in Michigan. The indies suck. You know, let's do something. Let's add a little controversy, right? And as I was doing that, as I was on live talking about one of my biggest things that a lot of people have talked about before, when I started talking about bringing back, UCA or bringing back Kyle Kaplan or Kyle Shelby, was I was on Facebook Live and I said, nobody owns professional wrestling. Nobody. So when it comes down to what the fans want to see, what the people at home want to see, that's all that mattered to me, right? And I
Mm.
let my passion drive my decision making, and I would get into, and I'm laying this all out here, so no, because I know certain people that remember me. They probably remember Kyle Kaplan being on live, yelling to the walls and just talking a bunch of nonsense, promoting his shows, doing his thing. It was more so me getting upset, right? And when I was leaving, when I left DBW, it all had to do with me not being able to show up to one training day to train everybody. I was the only one that went to wrestling school. The only one that knew how to properly run ropes, the only one that knew how to lock up, the only one that knew the steps to, chain. So I had to put my foot down a little bit there, man. I did not want us to go out looking like fools. And realistically, at the end, if you've seen what went on the Facebook side, where people are talking on Facebook about DBW, the guys that took over DBW really did a number on it, and it was shut down within a year after I left. So I didn't want to leave.
And why now for the audience? I just want to also make sure because there's a DBW that's very well known to this platform
Oh, of
called.
course,
It's not
of
that
course.
DBW. It's Detroit Backyard Wrestling. Just want to make sure that everybody knows that because DBW on this platform, obviously people have, mixed opinions on for different reasons. We've brought them back into the fold and we're very happy to have them back. We actually had a guy, Big Tex from Dominant Breakout Wrestling, but we're talking about certainly Detroit Backyard Wrestling. So this all happened here. So you were the only one that had some experience to be trained. And you're saying that those that were involved in DBW did not want to go out there and train and help. And then when they took over after you left, the company ceased to exist because there wasn't that organization, there wasn't that leadership in place to keep the company going. Is that what you're telling us?
Pretty much, they tried. They wanted to train, but they had their own set way of training, right? So before DBW, when we were all in HCW, HCW was run by some older GBYWN guys after a while. And they were taking part of training. I had already left HCW at this time, right? So I moved over to UWW with the other guys. So when they were going through that training, that training only really lasted like a month, right? And when you compared the two, like my training is from a respectable school. I still don't know everything. You know what I mean? I still.
Well, that's a common theme on this platform. Guys maybe go and get trained, and they get trained for some cases could be 6 months, could be 2 years, or could be a month or two. And for whatever reason, the trainer basically kind of wasn't giving them what they deserved or what they needed or the money. They were being fleeced. They couldn't afford it. And they go back to the yard or the underground. It's unfortunate. Not every story is what people see on NXT. By and large, a lot of these trainers, again, and I'm not telling people shouldn't, not be trained, but by and large, a lot of these trainers prey on these students and they fleece them for X amount of money. And, they don't give them the proper skills that they need, or they themselves don't have that experience that, so that's a common theme. So go ahead, continue.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I totally agree. My experience, wasn't necessarily about money. They weren't scamming me. They weren't doing nothing like that. It was just more so like I was having, if you know Kyle Baker, I'm going to drop the real name here for a second. If you know Kyle Baker personally, hey, I've had a little problems back in the day, right? So I was trying to figure that stuff out, right? With the housing situations or, just jobs in general, money, stuff like that. So I would have to step away for a little bit. Am I able to go back to the school itself? Oh yeah, 100%. Absolutely. That's already been agreed upon, and I can go to any school here in Michigan. We're all good to go, right? But if you compared the two trainings, they didn't know how to put a match together. They didn't want to set up a match like they like to say, call it in the ring. The vets will call it in the ring, right? But if you're new, you need a baseline idea. Like they always say in wrestling school, have the notebook, right? Write down the ideas. And, my buddy Dusty here will tell you, I'm always watching shows. I'm always rewinding, watching footwork, trying to make sure everything looks decent, right? I'm not a perfect wrestler by any means. I mess up all the time. But the thing is how often in between are the screw ups, right? And when DBW was really taking off, it was just the organization wasn't really there. They didn't explain who's really feuding with who.
So all right. So DBW goes and obviously it goes into the dustbin. I got that.
Yeah.
So you're gone for again, a period of about 5 years. Is that the
Yep.
timeline that we have correct? So what did you do? You didn't at all want to go back to wrestling? What was the 5 years like before this year you've decided you've reappeared and you've made a comeback? And this is a similar story on this platform that I've seen with guys. I mean, Jacob Frost was a guy, MEBW wrestled briefly. I think you may have heard the name before, I'm sure, Jacob
Of
Frost.
course. Oh yeah.
Obviously a guy who in a different generation was, maybe a more controversial figure to some, a legend, but in this generation, maybe not as known, but he's starting back up and he's obviously returned. Comatose, another name that was also like you, gone for a long period of time, main evented BYW Mania twice. I'm sure that's a name you've probably heard of. And
Absolutely.
they've come back and they've reappeared. But for you in your 5-year layoff, was there ever a thought of going back to wrestling, or you completely flushed it out? So let's talk about the
No.
5-year layoff.
I never flushed it out, brother. Never, never, never. The day I left DBW, I wanted to come back that day. I did not want to leave. It was better for my mental health at the time, because it was just a mad spiral. It was a bad spiral, and I feel like other people could agree with this. When you give your 100% to something for Lord knows how long, right? And it just gets taken away from you. It messed me up a little bit, but I didn't let the wrestling part, I didn't let the community part, I didn't let none of that ruin anything, right? Because when I was
DBW's though decline, and were you bitter about that?
absolutely, DBW was really my baby. It was something like me and my partner Josh that ran it with me. We took a van all the way out to Kentucky and got the ring ourselves. We went to Monster Pro Rings and Cages, and we picked that up. We took it all the way back to Detroit. And that was like a whole 3-day event. That right there, we had. It was just different, man. It was really cool. It was a fun experience, honestly. And then just watching how everything went. The thing that really screwed DBW over, and I really want to put this out there, don't market your promotion as a legitimate professional promotion. Guys, don't do that. No, sir. No. Because with DBW, the guy that took over, because it really wasn't even my partner either. It was 2 other guys, and they were booking independent guys, saying it was an independent promotion. And that's why I was saying, hey, the training's important, because in Michigan, Jack Delta could tell you it's cutthroat. They will.
Yeah, Jack was here, talked about that he did training. I want to say maybe 6 months, something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, obviously, James Fury is a man a lot of people know, and I actually know
Yep.
James Fury not from his backyard wrestling days first. I know him from his independent wrestling days. But yeah, no question that if you're going to go out there and make it, whether it's in as a borderline underground indie, you obviously get training. But
Yep.
for you, I mean, this company, it's your baby. They have a demise, but you're not out there at all. I mean,
No. So what happened with it was when I was running my mouth, I was going after the indies. I wanted the smoke. I wanted that smoke. I
why
wanted
was
to go
that
to
for the
war.
audience? Why, as a guy that has some training and was mostly a yarder, why was that you wanted the smoke for the audience?
I wanted to show the guys, and I wanted to show the people that love backyard wrestling, like, hey man, that old school way of thinking about things, of like, that tribalism aspect. I know it's frowned upon, man. I love it. I love it. That whole rebellion of the 1990s. Kids busting each other open with barbed wire. Hey, I'm going to make it to the WWE one day from backyard wrestling, right? That to me was like the whole purpose, right? And when YouTube became a whole thing, when I first broke into backyard wrestling, it like the whole backyard wrestling scene back then was just SNR wrestling, JNB wrestling, ESW, and I think
Yes,
there was
we had
one more.
Osiris has been here a couple times.
I love Osiris, man.
Austin G was here. He was here. I mean, it was what it was. I'm trying not to get in really the whole thing there with the ESWs, but sure, ESW was definitely a thing back in those days. You had
Hey, if
GWC.
ESW wants smoke with Detroit, we can give them smoke too. Listen. I'm just saying. I'll go to bat for my people. I go to bat for my people. I'm not trying to cause no drama, brother.
No. I mean, for me, you're not saying anything to me, so you could say whatever you want. But I mean,
I appreciate that.
No, again, I mean, there's no question that you left and you started in 2009. So, I mean, how do you feel about your career now as we speak? Now that you're getting ready for this return and such.
I've definitely got older.
Well, you started obviously 15 years ago, so yeah, you think you get older, right? I mean, that's the whole thing.
I watch these guys, man, like guys in TBW. I watch guys like Jack Delta. I watch guys over in ESW, and I sit back and I think, oh my God, am I washed up? I'm not lying here, right? I'm gonna think. I sit back and I think, am I gonna be able to do it again? Like it kind of gives me a little anxiety, right? But then I think about it and I'm like, no, it's cool. I can make it happen. I've done it before. I've done it too many times to count. So I'm sure I can make it happen, Well,
why not you? I mean, there's a lot of guys that have made comebacks in the yard. Sean Jovi, the resident rock star, America's rock star, who was also years ago in the GBYWN. He came back 3 years ago. He's on the best run of his career. I mean, there are plenty of people who have made comebacks into the yard. I mentioned Comatose. Comatose has got not one, not two, but 3 championships. I mean, I spoke about Jacob Frost. Jacob Frost is back in the yard, and he's had a lot of success in BTW. I mean, there's plenty of people that have come back in the yard. Nicholas Crenson, for example. Remy Ravage, who you might remember Remy Ravage under a different name, and she's back, and she's the XCW International Champion. So, yeah, years ago at a different time, you might have been maybe the underlings of the GBYWN. You might have been different things, but, it's 2024, and why not you? And if you don't come back, almost it'll be, when will you ever come back? Maybe this is the right time to return, and especially now with a new generation of people in the backyard and underground wrestling circuit that maybe they don't know the history that you've had, Kyle Shelby. They don't know what you did as Kyle Kaplan. They don't know HCW and UWW or EBW, and they don't know DBW. And maybe that also gives you a fresh start, an opportunity to kind of let yourself reset and maybe see what you have left with a new generation of stars in our circuit.
That's what I'm looking forward to, man. After a while, I started realizing, there's a whole new breed, man. Because when I left, it was who was it, man? It was the old HBTW guys, Corey Graves, and then we got the Newberg guys over in New York.
Corey Graves is now Silas Walker, huh? You know Corey Graves, huh?
Of course.
Mr. Corey Graves. He's been a topic the last few days. He's now Silas Walker. He got a haircut. He's well dressed now, and he's almost showing people the way, showing people the light. So, what is your Corey Graves story?
Man, I met Corey Graves a long time ago when Corey was a part of HBTW, and they were all beefing with this one promotion over in Illinois, Chicago, JCID. Mike Malerick, who's now in the Indies. Okay. And there's this whole story, man, that this kid drove down to Pennsylvania. He got stuck halfway there, and his mom had to come get him, ended up getting grounded. But they had this whole war for like a good, 6 months to a year or whatever. And then me and these other kids from New York, we're trying to beef with everybody. We were just trying to get our names out there, right? But that's how I got to know Corey.
was it? Was it in upstate New York?
Rochester. Rochester.
Let me think. It wasn't Shock and Mickey Vargas by any chance, right?
No, no, they're a very unknown trampoline fed.
Okay.
NLW.
Okay. That yeah, I don't know if I knew them because I knew Rochester. There was a federation last year, the Rochester Wrestling Alliance, and some of those guys are in home wrestling, which is House of Misfits Entertainment, which is like Mickey Vargas, Torrance Banks, Shock, Craven, who probably were around when you were in the middle of that maybe 10 plus years ago. They would definitely have been people that you would have probably crossed paths. So I would have asked if that maybe Stephen Havoc, does the Stephen Havoc ring a bell?
It does. It does. Yes, it does.
Stephen Havoc is another Rochester guy. He was instrumental in the reboot of the RWA, which was run by a guy, John Jackson. Does John Jackson ring a bell? John the Rock Jackson?
John the Rock.
Old-time yarder. John the Rock Jackson. Yeah.
No, it does not. But you know what? That's awesome, though. I'm learning new guys I can look into. You know what I mean? Who I'm also pretty. So. Do you remember CHW, Crazy Hardcore Wrestling in Canada?
I heard of it. Yeah, I heard of it.
I'm trying to convince Suede Savard to come do a match with me, man. That's one on the bucket list for sure. He's not budging.
Okay, so what are your goals then to come back? I mean, obviously, it's good that you're here. I'll get into the GBYW when I know some people want to say hello. I'll let them have a chance to say hello in a few minutes. So I always ask people this question. And so what's your goals here in this return to the yard and into the backyard circuit?
You know, I just want to be a guy, man. I just want to wrestle at this point. Before it was a bunch of glory. It was a bunch of ego nonsense. Like, oh, my name's got to be out there too, right? No. That's silly. That's just silly nonsense, right? No, I want to get back into it. I want to make it to the Indies one day, man. I want to go pro. I want to be able to start traveling, get out to Florida one day, start training out there. You know, just keep it moving, keep the learning going.
Is there a clock that's ticking for you in terms of those things? No? Okay.
No, not at all.
No?
I'm not giving. I won't give in anytime soon, man. Not unless my back breaks and the doctor says, "Hey, man, maybe this isn't a good idea." If anything, it's the healthiest option for me. It keeps me out of the house. It keeps my mind working.
But are you concerned? You were gone for 5 years, so 5 years. Comatose has this come up with him. Frost not as much because he had, I think, a 2-year layoff, 2.5 year layoff. But Comatose was like you, and again, he had this layoff. And are you concerned about going back out there in the ring and taking those bumps, getting your body used to that? Because you were doing a lot. I'll put up some of the footage in a few minutes, but I mean, you did a lot the first run, but going back into this the second time, and you haven't done it for all these years. I mean, are you concerned about that eventual first fall you take and how your body will react and such?
I'm really more concerned of the higher bumps, man. Like off the top rope, doing a front bump off the top rope is going to be a little harsh, but to me, realistically, it's consistency, right? So it's like, if I can take the time now and really try to get my body back into shape, I feel as if the ring rust will come right off in time. I don't necessarily have a track record of being injured, so I'm not too worried of that happening. Especially if I just stretch, right, it's gonna help out. But the cardio is definitely gonna be one of the bigger aspects. It's always been the bigger aspect. Kyle Kaplan loved to die in that ring, loved to blow up really quickly. So I feel as if, just pacing myself, keeping it cool, not doing too much, but doing just enough, because less is more. I feel like it could really work out. Plus, I like to work with more of a psychology base, more than just what you see on TV, especially with AEW right now. I'm more old school. I'm really into Harley Race right now. I'm really
A couple of guys on this platform have said that. I think I heard Chase Sullivan has said that. I heard some of the British guys talk about that. So when you get back out there, when that moment comes, right, Kyle Shelby. I mean, you were obviously the Duke of Detroit. You're the prophet of prime time, the king of Kyles, the oracle of opportunity. You go back out there when that time comes. Is there going to be nerves? Is there going to be almost some tightness because I haven't been out there in so long? What's that going to be like?
Of course, of course. You know, I'm always a little tense before a show. Absolutely. I remember I was full of it. I thought people forgot about me, even after like 3 months, 6 months of being gone in DBW, because I did go back to DBW for one show.
And what was that like?
But it was weird, man. It was very welcoming, but very odd, right? The thing with it with me though is before, because I also have a theater background as well, so getting into character is not an issue with me. Getting into the Shelby or Kaplan character, the Hollywood aspect, like, oh, the loud, boisterous, flamboyant attitude, that right there, what you see on TV, that's all just, fabricated nonsense, right? But when that music hits, this guy right here goes away, and that guy right there is what you get. And I just completely turn, and the nerves go away, and it's like second nature, man. I could just walk out there and just piss everybody off, or I can make people happy depending on what the guys want in the back. I can make it happen, right? And it's a lot of fun for me. I don't know, that's the one thing I'm really looking forward to, is that music hitting for the first time after 6 years, man. It doesn't matter if I'm here in doing my own fed, or going to ROEW and doing it there, or, making my way over to Tennessee one day, doing it there. I'll go everywhere if I can,
Well,
I definitely.
and that's a question that would be up to those companies, right?
Of course.
They're
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just saying though, anywhere,
Sure.
it doesn't even matter where I go. The second that music hits me.
Do you think that you would have to go and return somewhere else to prove to those companies that you can do it again? Because sure, you have a name. There's no question. It's like the Jacob Frost and Comatose situations. They have names, but this new generation, it doesn't really resonate with them as much. I mean, especially at Jacob Frost, the man, you obviously that was a peer of yours. But I mean, in terms of that, do you feel that you need to go out and prove yourself a little bit? For sometimes it's like a boxer. When a boxer returns, like for example, Mike Tyson, when he was in prison after he had raped a young woman, was in prison for about 3 years in Indiana. And in order for him to come back, they basically arranged these fights. They were really arranged fights, let's put it that way. But the point was that he built himself up. George Foreman was another example. George Foreman, a better example, had left the sport of boxing for 10 years. He was the heavyweight champion the first time, and he left. He became a preacher, and he was done with boxing and decided that he needed the money. He had a big family, and he came back, but he gradually got himself back to the point where he could be a contender. And do you feel it's the same way, that you need to be able to gradually get yourself out there with a couple of opponents, whoever they may be, wherever they may be, and then maybe to get the attention of any company, whether it's TBW, whether it's IMF, whether it's WCE, ROEW, and so on and so on?
100%. I definitely believe that earning it is more important than just thinking you deserve it, right? And it's like, for me, it's nothing's been easy, right? Nothing's easy. So it's more delay of a gratification, right? That's what I'm trying to say. So when I don't know, man, I just want to prove to people. I just have this thing where I feel like I have to prove everybody, hey, Shelby's got this. Like, hey, man, if we need Shelby to show up, he will be here. If we need Shelby to tear down after the show, even though he's falling off of a ladder and getting hit in the face with a traffic cone, he's still going to do it. You know, if he's going to set up, he'll show up at 7 a.m., have the show set up for everybody, man. You know, that's the kind of guy I am, right? Because that's how I was brought up in the yard, especially. You know,
Well,
you
you're a
got.
veteran. You know, you started in '09, so obviously it's not as if you have no experience. It's not as if that you haven't understood the lay of the land. I mean, you know what this circuit is about. So obviously there are things you're going to be able to pick up right away. It's a matter of more or less just getting back out there, getting those reps and putting yourself in a position to where you could maybe be that person that, again, whatever the company that they may desire, if they're looking for talent, that they would want to bring in the legendary Duke of Detroit, Kyle Kepler, now Kyle Shelby. No, I mean, listen, that's really what it comes down to pretty much. And
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's that. I think that would be awesome, man. If I could show people like, hey man, this guy can still go. You know, if a company can believe in me like that, that would mean the world to me. You
well, let
know.
me ask you a question. I'll tell you what, let me ask you a question. I know people are watching a match of yours from your last entrance into the ring for the Urban Warren Wrestling Company. You can see it's obviously a hardcore match, but
Yep.
if there was a promotion out there, whoever it might be, I see guys from different feds here in the chat, but what would you want to say directly to any promoter or any fed right now?
No matter what, I will have eyes and I can turn heads. And gold just looks really good on me. You know what I mean? Because you know, it's like for some reason I like to talk, man. I like to pander. I like to have people involved. Breaking that fourth wall is a lot of fun for me. You know, as you could see in there after Ryro was split open with a little light tube there, I gave a look of disgust, like this is not where I need to be. Right? It's fun. That's you know, it's the it's me connecting, right, with the people at home. And I know I can connect with people. And given that opportunity, I really feel like I can draw numbers. I really feel like I can be a draw again.
Was
Yeah.
there regret? Was there regrets in the first run?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I was not a respectful kid. I was a little douchebag that was hot-headed. You know, I left HCW, the GBYWN affiliated promotion, and I came into UWW, and you'll see here in a minute how that went. And it really got to my head. You know, that's when I started calling myself the King, the Duke, all these royal names. And, you know, would I change it? If I could go back and talk to myself like, hey, man, just listen, you know, keep your mouth shut, listen. You'll have your time very shortly. Just give it time, right? I would do that. Would I change where I went and who I worked with? Absolutely not. 100% no.
And we see here you're about to win the UWW championship, and you're about to be awarded that because you got the pinfall there. And we're here with Kyle Shelby. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally all wrestling matters. If you'd like to follow Kyle, he is on Instagram, he is on YouTube, he is on Facebook. I'll put up the Instagram link up here once again. You can check him out there. You can also check him out here right on this link here. Very simple, short, sweet, to the point. Oop, wrong link. That's the wrong link. That's my page. We're going to go right there. There we go. That's the magic of technology. We're going to go right here. There you go. His YouTube page is just right back up. If you'd like to hit the sub button for him, go hit that sub button for him. Please support him and support those that support us here. And we are on Sportswire Radio, and I'll be here tomorrow, also 11 o'clock Eastern Time, with Small Town Backyard Wrestling from Illinois. I'm going to be here with Nolan Money McDermott, who apparently has got a few things to say, and you might want to tune into that because there's going to be something pretty big going down on tomorrow's show, but I can't say it until it happens tomorrow. So until then, that is Kyle's page. And if you'd like to take a look at him, that's some of his information and more. And let me get to some comments here, and then we'll come back and talk about a couple different things here.
Of course.
Yep, Zilla's here, our resident chatter. How you doing, Zilla? Nice to see you. Thank you for tuning in. Speaking of one of our favorites recently, Mr. Chaotic of TBW, he is basically the measuring stick of TBW. He has wrestled maybe the most matches this year for one company in any circuit. He is here and in the house. He's become a favorite of mine, so I'm very excited to see him and what he does coming up here in TBW's upcoming huge show that we'll see hopefully either this week or next week coming up here, Summer Bash. And yes, hello there. I want to say hello to our friend, President Zaddy. Salute. Yes, we salute. Definitely Kyle Shelby. Shane Davidson, another guy that certainly has said some things as well in the past, but he's on the way back. Shane Davidson, of course, was Armageddon Shane Davidson. He was the Southern Bulldozer, and now he's just a father. His biggest title yet. We say congratulations to Shane. How you doing? Speaking of people who own ROEW, James Taylor, the legendary James Taylor, who started his career back in '98, which makes you even. He's young. You're young compared to James Taylor. I mean, everybody's young compared to James Taylor, but James Taylor, of course, the legendary ROEW owner. He is the TikTok influencer. He is the man with nearly 130,000 followers on social media.
Okay.
You can get 88,000 on TikTok. He's got like 41,000 on YouTube, about 1,000 on Instagram. So he's got about 130,000. Yep. And ROEW Face-Off will be Friday. We can't wait. And Mr. Chaotic says he would love to see you in Tennessee. That's a question that obviously is up to Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. That's up to them to see if they want new talent. I'm sure that once you go back out there and return to the ring, that could very well be a possibility. Want to say hello to our friends over in the Alliance Wrestling League. Something tells me you probably know who Hillbilly Tilly is, I'm sure. That name ring a bell, Hillbilly Tilly? That name ring a bell?
I think I just followed him on Instagram a couple weeks ago.
That name a reminder of years ago, right? Because he was also in the backyard circuit when you were around in your heyday. Anything you remember, Hillbilly Tilly?
Not too much, but when I read his name, I couldn't stop chuckling. So I feel like me and him have exchanged words on Twitter back in the day.
You very well could have, and now he's the general manager of the Alliance Wrestling League, who just introduced tag team titles. They had a hell of a show that just took place. It's episode 34, and the guys are doing a great job. And I wish them. I'm excited about Seth Maverick here and much, much more. And,
Seth Maverick, where's my boy Seth Maverick at?
Seth Maverick is in Alabama.
Yeah. Where's he been? How's he been?
He's coming back to Sportswire in about 2 weeks, so I guess
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. He's got a great story. He's done some different things. He's got a really outside the ring, very uplifting story, and just some really great character people. And me and you, Kyle, when you come back to the backyard, so Chaotic,
let's run it.
He wants you.
Let's run it, brother.
Right now in TBW, he has been wrestling main event after main event. He's involved right now in maybe one of the biggest stories in the entire backyard circuit, and he has been a mainstay in Tennessee backyard wrestling. He's really, I think, come into his own over the last, I'd say, 6 months or so since the season started, and you never know. Listen, you never know. Listen, hope springs eternal, but if you want to go follow Kyle, that's his YouTube page. We'll take this off the screen. If you want to follow him on Instagram, this is his page here right now, so check him out on, there we go. Instagram right there. You can see all the information there. You can see who he is, everything else in between, some of the memories. We saw some of it there also. He's on also TikTok. He's Shelby Visual. So if you'd like to check him out there, he's also on TikTok. And you can check him out and check out everything else that he's doing and more. And okay, so obviously we'll come back to some of this. I'll take this off the screen for a minute, but you know, the Global Backyard Wrestling Network, you were a part of this those years ago. And what was that experience like? And what do you think were some of the things that worked and maybe even some of the things that didn't work? Because I'll have a follow-up because I'm going to have an announcement related to somebody that was a part of that influential global backyard wrestling network in a few minutes. So what was some of the things? Yep. What was the things for you that worked and didn't work about the GBYWM?
The GBYWN was perfect, man, because it was really the precursor of everything that the backyard community has right now and the underground community that it is right now. It was really a perfect layout, a perfect map. Honestly, everybody's following it to a T. You know, like this is what's going on right now is the reason why I want to come back is because it's so full. There's everybody. When I messaged Jack Delta about UCA, about me coming back, about, you know, just me and him potentially doing something together in the ring, he showed me everywhere that he went, and I was like, dude, this is insanity. You can do that now.
100 matches, 10 plus years. He's had 9 world championships. Yep, he's been all over the place.
He's killing it.
ESW, TBW, ROEW, VTW. I mean, he's been in some of the biggest companies in really backyard wrestling history. I mean,
if there's anybody that should be the general, the man that is running the whole entire Chappelle, right? It's Jack Delta. That should be Jack Delta. Jack Delta is our Cody Rhodes right now. And that might piss some folks off, right?
Well, man, Justin Parsley, who's in the chat right now, is basically he might have a huge disagreement with that because, he attacked Jack Delta from behind in rather epic fashion, and he's actually the only 4-time Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer in history, and he's actually the PWF World Champion, which Jack Delta was a champion for last year when it was in Tennessee. Now it's up north, and Justin Parsley would have a major disagreement with that, I'm sure.
Hey, you know, that Jack Delta, that's my boy, right? I love Jack. He's a good guy. You know, what happened to him, I don't think he deserved all of that, right? You know, that kid's been through it, man. He's been up and down highways and byways. He's stopped at everyone's favorite
here many times. He's been here 5 times. Yep, he's been here 5 times over the past about almost year and a half. He's been here 5 times, and he has talked about his travel. He has talked about his journey, and now he's home. He's home in Michigan.
Yup.
Yes. So
no, I was talking to my buddy. Sorry about that.
We're
phone low. You grab the charger too.
You want to bring your friend live on the air on Sportswire?
Yeah, you want to come on live on the Sportswire?
Yeah.
So tell us who you are. Tell us what you're about. Tell us how are you helping Kyle Shelby stay online?
Give me 1 second, folks.
I help this man any way I can.
McDonald's. What's your name, my friend? What is your name?
I'm Dustin. Nice to meet you, dude.
How you doing, Justin? And did you get a Big Mac and fries with that shirt?
Yeah, no problem. I'm just over at 18 in DeQuinder.
Oh, good. Excellent here. So,
what do you think about
well, never mind, because we're coming back live. So that's what you get on Sports. Hopefully, get your charger back here. I promise you, we'll be off the air in about another 60 or so minutes. But the point is that you won't need it more than that. So you'll be able to get through the rest of the interview. But I mean, we were talking and such, and I'll wait till you get plugged right back in because we don't want you to lose battery here. We don't want you to die. I mean, we've had some segments on Sportswire, but we don't want that to all happen there. But obviously, we like you back with us. Can you hear us?
Oh yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Now we're good. Okay, now we're good.
Sweet.
So obviously, we were talking. And Mr. Delta is actually in the chat, and he wanted to show some support. He wanted to say hello to you. So, I mean, you've known Mr. Delta for a long time, I take it.
Of course. You know, I reached out to him back when I found out about MEBW, and I'm like, guys, come on over. I gave him this whole sales pitch on why we should collide together as companies. And I guess he liked it, Him and another guy liked it. The rest of them didn't really care too much for it, which is fine. I get it. I was kind of weird back then, man. kind of all over the place.
What have you thought about him traveling to all these places? I mean, it's a big sacrifice that Mr. Delta.
Yeah, like that's I can't say it's unheard of, right? Because GBYWN, stuff like that, but man, that's kind of unheard of.
A lot of guys now have been doing it. There's a guy, Aaron Blaze, who's done it, who wrestled Jack Delta. He's probably been the guy, I would say, in terms of miles, has come the closest. There's a guy this year, D'Angelo LaFlame, who's actually probably traveled more than both Delta and Blaze have this year combined. They've done it. We have some guys, Justin Parsley right now, who's actually, again, he's the outsider versus the outsider. He's actually been traveling. He's now been in 4 different states this year, Justin Parsley. He's been up and down the Midwest. We've had Omen Black and Soldier GP. They've done it. They have certainly, they're more underground, but when they were in the backyard, they were doing the rounds. Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio. So, they were doing it. And obviously, I think Mr. Delta certainly laid that path. And did you ever want to travel as much as the way he did? I mean, I know you talked a little bit about it, but did you ever feel was there regrets in that for you?
Regrets? Yeah, like, back in the day, I really wanted to be able to travel in the Indies. I really wanted to be able to break out and just leave Michigan for a while, make this my job 100%, and that's the coolest part about what we got going on right now. YouTube, TikTok, you get big enough, they'll pay you, right?
We have a guy, James Taylor. He's the owner of ROEW, and he's a TikTok influencer. He's a YouTube influencer. He is obviously, for those that probably can figure it out, he's compensated for his work and he's earned it. He's no question. He's got a massive following. So, yeah, you can do it. And, full disclosure, I mean, it's peanuts, but I I'm paid on Facebook. It's peanuts on the dollar, but I'm paid on Facebook. And, you get to a certain number, you get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube with 4,000 watch hours. You become a monthly paid person. And obviously, eventually I'll get there because I'm about 100 some odd subscribers away. Cheap plug. Hit the sub button for me if you haven't yet. And if you have hit the sub button for me, go tell a friend or two. But the point is, I mean, it's a different world. I mean, guys can do it. But, I wanted to go back to the GBYW. I know there's some more comments. I want to come back to those in a second. But I have to ask you because I promised the tease. Now, next week in your chair, next Wednesday night, in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, Sportswire Radio, to take his place into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the one and only host of the Global Backyard Wrestling Network, a man that has cut his teeth in the independents and especially of late on that little old show called GTS. Rad Dad Radley Belmont is here. He's live once again, and he goes into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, and he was the host of the GBYWN. And what was your memories of Mr. Rad Dad Radley Belmont?
I was one of those kids that was always messaging his idols, right? And when I found out about Rad Hazard, that's how I found him. Rad Hazard. He took a Canadian destroyer in this small ring in New York or New Jersey somewhere. And after that, I just fell in love with the guy. I'm like, this guy is honestly like a perfect mixture of a villain and a hero, right? So, my memories of him, man, are just him giving such great advice, such good advice when it comes to, really being yourself, putting yourself out there, trying to network with people, that man was
he was from Las Vegas, and really because of the Global Backyard Wrestling Network, he cut his teeth in the Northeast. I mean, he went from, he said it here, he was just, the GBYWN was just a part of it was a message board. It was a chat, and it turned into something that
huge.
Was huge.
It was so huge, man. And that's the thing, man. You don't realize how huge it was. I didn't realize, because I didn't even know I was affiliated with it. until I already had won a championship in HCW when I won the hardcore championship.
And he announced you as the champion for it, right?
Yep.
That's what he did, right?
No, he didn't announce me for it. The guy who was running HCW, we were talking about GBYWN, and he's like, "Well, we're a GBYWN affiliate promotion now." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, a couple weeks ago we traveled to New York and we did that." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I didn't even know this was going on. I didn't know they were traveling. They were doing this in HCW, going over to 3BW, XCW, stuff like that." And it just blows your mind because the network was that big. I didn't think it was that big. I thought we were just a small little promotion. No, we had guys like Skull Jr. running around, Lance Mannion, Wildman Dan, those guys that I broke into with, Jeff Keel, Colt Williams. Yeah, man. Damon showed up around the same time.
You have history with. Yep, a lot of history with, for sure.
Man, oh man, that boy Damon. And you know what's crazy? I would still love to work with him. There's a lot of beef between him and I, but I'd still love to work with him. Just to finish up that story.
Opened a lot of doors.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Gave people an opportunity. And, in some ways, Rad Dad has said that this platform, not to the degree, but in some ways is carrying the torch that was laid all those years ago without even knowing it, of the Global Backyard Wrestling Network. Some would say, and according, to himself. He said that here.
I mean, man, it's what, like I said to you before, man, you're connecting people. You're doing a good job with it too. You're one of the first actual podcasts that focus, on us as a community. And, I can't thank you enough.
Well, I think it was really because of the fact that backyard guys would come on here, and I started, and we'll get to the chat. I know people will want to talk to you and such, but I had started covering British independent wrestling. I had covered that during COVID, and I had a lot of these guys, and I was a Facebook streamer, and that's kind of how I made peanuts on the dollar. Let's just put it that way when it comes to being monetized on Facebook. But yes, I have made some income off Facebook doing this. But guys would come on my show, and we would try to say, yeah, you want to wrestle this person, you want to wrestle that person, and the way it works in independent wrestling, to be honest, to really break the fourth wall, guys don't really want to do that. They really don't, because they really they're comfortable in their spot. They're working with they're going to say for fun, yeah, I'll wrestle them. Yeah, I'll go out and do it. But really, in the independent wrestling scene in Britain, it's kind of like, really, even what a lot of independent wrestling is everywhere, it's almost like sex without love. Yeah, you're going out there. Not taking anything away from it, but they're weekend warriors. And in many ways, during COVID, when I started covering wrestling, for those that may not know, guys were hungry. They would come on my platform. Can you record 2 minutes with me? Can you record 3 minutes with me? But really, when the backyard guys started to come on here about 2 years ago, which was the guys in WC, Sean Jovi, obviously, was in the GBYWN, and, some of those other people at the time, Craven Rage, and it led to some other guys coming on here in the backyard circuit and the underground circuit as well. There's definitely, a underground presence here as well. Not as much in the backyard, but there are, a nice little niche of underground guys here. But the truth is, really, the backyard guys, they bought into that. They bought into the concept. Yeah, you know what? I want to challenge and call somebody. I really want to wrestle him. Whereas guys overseas in the independents, they're, I don't know. I wrestle these guys, and it's all bullshit. But here, really, guys would come on and call one another out, and it was real. It was real to the degree that they really did want to wrestle. They really did want to go out there, and there was a sincere effort to connect with people. And you look at, really, all the platforms of promotions that come on here. It's growing, by the day. I mean, I know that this platform is really built on an IMF TBW kind of, base. That's the truth. I mean, listen, to be honest, that's really what drives Sportswire Radio. But there's a lot of other people. ROEW has become probably the biggest one outside of that IMF TBW machine that is, so familiar with on Sportswire. And that's really because of Jack Delter and James Taylor, certainly. But there was a void. Guys would come on here and they really did if they were sincere and they really meant it. If they wanted to call somebody out or talk with somebody on a stream, and that's what it's really been. Whereas when I was doing this again for, all the years overseas, it's my job. I don't really want to rock the boat. Yeah, I'll say nice things about him, but that's really the truth. I mean, I'm not saying anything controversial. I've said it a million times the last 6 to 7 months on this platform. And that's kind of where All Wrestling Matters became a thing. That became a hashtag because guys in the backyard do get knocked upon too much. Guys even the underground to an extent, they get, I think unfairly maligned. If you go out and watch basketball, right? You go to the schoolyard, you don't tell somebody, oh, you shouldn't be playing basketball. They're not in the NBA, right? They're not college basketball players. They're not pros overseas, but we tell guys in the backyard who may not be, quote unquote, have the degree of training that maybe somebody who got lucky and went to a school from a famous wrestler or went to the Performance Center in NXT, or when Cody Rhodes had his thing in AEW. Well, not everybody gets those opportunities, but if guys are going out there and they're not harming anybody, you don't go on the basketball court. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. You didn't tell a whole bunch of big black guys, hey, you're not in the NBA? You want to get off the court? You're not NBA players? You think anybody would have told them that? So why are we telling guys who are in the backyard that you shouldn't be out there? That's just my personal opinion.
I agree. That's 100% why I got loud about it 6 years ago. Like, nobody owns this. Nobody can tell us no. It's not regulated. There's no union. They screwed up by not giving us.
Pro guys don't have a union either. Pro guys get hurt.
Yep.
What do they get? A Lloyd's of London insurance policy? But let's be real for a second. I mean, I'm going to be real for a second. I mean, okay, yeah, WWE guys, AEW guys, to a lesser extent, Impact guys, more once upon a time when it was a different ownership. But if they get hurt, I mean, what are they getting?
Nothing.
There's no union there. There's no pension. I mean, sure, they're making money, but really, if you don't work, you don't get paid. You might get. It's a different world than it was, I'm sure, 20 years ago. The salaries are different, but still, I mean, there's no anything. You're an independent contractor. So what's the difference between this in the backyard or in the underground? The only difference is, I'll tell you what the difference is. The difference is that guys in the backyard and guys in the underground do it like Hillbilly Tilly always says, do it for the love of this sport. They do it because they put their blood, sweat, and tears out there, and they go and do it because they want to do it, and they're doing it because guys will go drive 5 hours, 6 hours, 9 hours, 2 hours. I mean, listen, Justin Parsley drove 6 hours to Michigan just before to go have a outsider face-off with Jack Delter on ROEW TV 2 weeks ago. Jack Delter's talked about being in planes, trains, and automobiles, similar to the movie famously with John Candy and Steve Martin. D'Angelo LaFlame, Aaron Blaze has been in Greyhounds, Omen and Soldier. I mean, you can go every yarder. They're driving hours upon hours. They're not even getting a hot dog and a handshake. They're going out there. And, so to me, the way I see it, yeah, you better believe I'm proud to support the backyard circuit. Yeah, you better believe I'm proud to support the underground circuit because guys are going out there because they're not doing it because they're getting paid or they're getting rich. Who knows what happens with their bodies? So, yeah, you better believe I'm going to support them. You better believe I'm 100% proud to put anybody in the backyard circuit on the platform because I believe that they deserve the same entitlements. And in some ways, I see more drive, more way to get over. I see more promoting in terms of themselves than a lot of pro guys. And I've had more pro guys on this platform, believe it or not, than backyard guys. And I've sat through guys that were in the British Independents, one guy in particular who could probably wrestle Will Ospreay and have a 35-minute match in AEW, Philip Michael. He's one of the premier independent wrestlers. I had Tubin on here. And these guys are like two of the top independent guys in the circuit. And they came on here, and I was like this. The crickets.
Put him to sleep, y'all. He put him to sleep.
Pretty much. And,
Yeah.
I had a lot of that. And to me, the backyard guys do a far better job at promoting themselves, and they do a far better job in selling themselves and letting people know that you're here. I mean, I'm going to give another example. I'm going to get in probably a lot of trouble for this. I had an independent wrestler on a few weeks ago who came on the show, and God bless him. Bless his heart. What a wonderful man. Nice guy. And he's a wrestler in the Northeast, and he has like a plastic hammer he was coming with. And he was like, no likes on Instagram, no likes on TikTok. I like him a lot. He's a good talent. He's very good in the ring, but in terms of connecting, I see Justin Parsley and Jack Delter and Chaotic here in my chat. Those guys could take a dump on Sportswire. They're going to get 150 views on YouTube. No, serious.
I love it, though.
But it's the truth. I mean, I think I'm being very kind in the way I'm saying it, but there are certain guys that they could just almost just look at me for 2 hours, and they'll have 15 people here watching live. And there'll be guys that might be some of the most premier talents in any independent fed, and I hear the crickets outside of my backyard, and that's what they'll get here.
Right. I mean, no, you got a point, though. Not everybody has personality, and the yard has a lot of it, man. Like we got people that run around dressed up in face.
That's because it's a YouTube product. See, YouTube, that you have to connect to your audience. You are based on how many people view you. When you're an independent wrestler, your audience is that promoter who's booking your next show, who's paying you the hot dog, the handshake, and the 20 pounds or the $25. So that's the difference. So you're not invested into a social media. You're not invested. And that's the simple things. Eric Bischoff said about a month or two ago on his podcast that a lot of independent guys have the biggest advantage of almost anybody else because they can use social media as a venue to promote themselves and getting over. But trust me, take it from me. I've interviewed more independent guys than backyard guys. And time again that I've seen over the years, and I'm doing this for almost 6 years. I've been doing wrestling for about almost 4.5, and I covered college basketball, and I still sort of do college sports in between. Independent guys, I would say 70% of them here on this platform couldn't get over. They couldn't do that. Backyard guys, conversely, even those who may have less talent, they can find a way at the very least to say something in that segment to at least get over where they're going because it's a YouTube product. In a YouTube product, you know exactly who you're promoting to. You know where you're going. As an independent guy, again, you're loyal to the promoter because he's booking you and you don't want to not get booked. And you want that hot dog, you want that handshake, and you want that, again, few pounds to pay your gas to go bumble. Who knows where else you're going to wrestle. I don't take in your spot. I'm taking your time away, but that's the honest truth to you.
No, I'm not thinking that at all, brother. You're talking. I'm listening. I'm loving it. I agree.
And I think Rad Dad, though, is an example, and why Rad Dad people should tune in before I get to comments. Rad Dad is a guy, even though he might not have had the most success of anybody from the backyard. I mean, he's had a lot of success. Don't get me wrong. He's wrestled Grimm. I mean, he's been out there. He wrestled, the Rock and Roll Express. I mean, there's no question that he's had a lot of success. But Rad Dad connects in a different way because Rad Dad, in a lot of ways, was one of us. Rad Dad was somebody that he connects because everybody sees themselves in Rad Dad. Everybody sees Rad Dad when he's successful. It gives people a certain feeling because he is, even though, yes, he's been the stepdad and he's had the funny gimmick at times, he's been the villain / good guy, like you said, but the truth deep down, when he was here the first time, when he'll be here next week, he's one example of a guy that will get a massive reaction because people know deep down that he's one of them. And when he succeeds, everybody in a small way from those who remembered the GBYWN, they live through him.
100%. I agree. 100%. I can agree with that for sure.
Okay, well, let me get to some comments, and Rad Dad will be here. I know how to transition. Some people will be like, there are some podcasts that go on, and the guy will sit there with the cocked eyes, and they'll sit there where I know how to make the transition. Why? Because I did 7 months on a radio station, so I actually have I screened calls. I sat there, and I had to go listen to the person before they would come on. So I did all that and once here. Let's see. Yes, Jack Delta is here. We're happy to have him. Justin Parsley, I said. Jack Delta did look like he had went through a 12-round boxing match, not only on Sportswire, but in his job before then. So, yes, he was here. And he after we're off the air, he definitely looked like he went the distance. But then again, I've did about 155 shows in about 105 days. If there was anybody that's done the distance the past 3.5 months, it would be yours truly. But we'll give it a pass for Jack Delta. He's in recovery, and that's why Jack's only here every few months, because there are some guys that'll be here every week on Sportswire. Jack Delta is different because he's got a lot to talk about. Everybody wants to talk to Jack Delta, and that's why he'll be in recovery mode until his next appearance on Sportswire Radio, which will probably be in a few months, because Jack Delta, when he's here, it's a big attraction. But I do want to tell the audience there'll be a major guest coming on in the next few weeks that will be on par to Jack Delta, but stay tuned because I can't tell you who it is.
Uh-oh.
Big one. It'll be a big one. I can't tell you who it is, but it's a big one. Yes, he's doing well. Justin Parsley. Obviously, Justin Parsley was another old-time yarder, by the way. He was from XCW recently. He had his own Fed. He's from Indiana. He's the PWF champion. He was also a podcaster, still kind of is a podcaster, and he's a DJ. And Jack Delta doesn't want to have some weird things between him and Justin Parsley. Doesn't seem like that. I definitely think that Mr. Chaotic will be traveling soon, and I can't wait to see wherever he travels because I'm excited about him. And I hear through a birdie that Mr. Rad Dad said he gave some advice to Chaotic not too long ago, and he said he had a very nice conversation with him. So, yes, we love Rad Dad here. Thank you, Mr. Chaotic. You're a good friend, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the people here. Okay, so obviously I got all those pageantries out of the way. So, in the first run of your career, what were some of your favorite moments?
You know, I broke into HCW as a tag team with one of my first best friends in school, Daniel Derricks. Mm-hmm. And I was able to have a lot of killer matches with him over in HCW. And, you know, we worked with guys like Damon, James Crofton, you know, Colt Williams, Jeff Keel, Mike Chaos, CC, Los Cajones is another big guy. You know, I'm not ashamed to admit it, man. I broke his losing streak. He beat me.
Oh,
I know, man. This guy, he lost for like a good 10 years and he beat me.
That's not good.
No, it's okay. I was breaking the wellness policy back then, so that's my excuse. You know, but this match here is really cool. It's a big betrayal. It's my big betrayal.
So what made HCW a company that you had a lot of success and was a company that was a driving force in the GBYWN? What made HCW that?
HCW had really proper booking when it came to things. You know, they knew how to build a show. They knew who to put on camera. They knew who to not put on camera. They knew how long a match should be. They knew, you know, they just knew a lot of stuff. And I got to give all that credit to Wild Man Dan, honestly. And Lance Mannion. Shea Buckley, too. He's another big guy that was a part of that group. But they gave me and Daniel a huge opportunity, man. I was 16, Daniel was 16 when we both got in here. So I think we're about 18 here.
So we're talking about 8-9 years ago, just about, right?
Yep.
Something like that.
Yep, 9 years. Yep. And that's me returning, man, against our old, like with our old enemies. I'm just working that crowd. Um,
What
but
was it
no,
like having those big crowds in the yard? Some companies, it's YouTube where it's just you're going into the audience. There are other shows that are on. TBW gets a crowd.
yep,
WCE, at times WC has a crowd. We have our friends in Ohio, All Legendary Wrestling. They actually get like a legitimate crowd. They get like 20, 30, 40 people sometimes, and they show up. So what was that like in terms of having a big crowd? Because again, ESW is known for. ESW was in its own category. GWC with Copper Dragon had crowds, but not every yard show has that in a YouTube product. So what was that like on this one? You could see you got a lot of people here watching. What was that like?
it was definitely a humbling experience for sure. Because during this match, the crowd was just messing with me the whole time. I had dumped a water bottle over my head, and they were always poking fun at me, like, "Hey man, what's up with that back sweat?" They knew how to get heat, man. They knew how to get heat. So I'm giving it to them, right? But that was different because normally we just had the guys that weren't working in, like, sitting out watching the matches, right? But this is the guys' families, friends, relatives, acquaintances, people that just saw us online and wanted to come out. There was like five people like that. That was crazy.
Did
But
that make you motivated, nervous? What did that make such a big match well here? What did that make it like for you?
funny story, man. Before this match, Daniel and I, we were smoking a joint.
A common thing in the backyard circuit, but continue.
And I'm
Okay.
there babbling, and I'm like, dude,
It's
I'm gonna
legal
break.
now in most of the country, so I don't think it's
Yep.
really a big deal anymore.
As you can tell, man, I've been over here hitting the cart. You know what I mean?
You're not the first person on this platform that's done that. We've had some. I
No?
had a guy come on here who had a gun on the air, so this is nothing. Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
You
Obey.
ever, you
He
ever
had
see
a gun
that
on.
spot? You ever see that spot in Japan where the dude's on the turnbuckle and he pulls a pistol out of his tights and he points it at everybody, even the referee?
Yeah, that was kind of what I had here about 7 months ago. So yep,
Yup.
pretty much.
Man, this
Well,
match was a lot of fun though, because it was a long time coming.
how about the three of yous with the side Russian leg sweep there? How about that move?
That was improvised for sure. We did not discuss this match at all. We were so worried about getting stoned before this match. But that's the thing though. We always did that. And that us, this whole entire group here in this match, that's what we did. Minus maybe Colt Williams, because he didn't smoke. He doesn't partake. But the rest of us, oh yeah. And the funniest thing was before this match, I had just came back from being suspended from breaking a wellness policy. But what really happened was I got caught smoking weed by my dad.
Oh, well, that's probably more important or more of a concern to be worried about.
Yep. So they were like, all right, well, we're gonna just play this angle of, hey man, you broke the wellness policy, so we're gonna suspend you. You're gonna come back, team against Daniel, and then Daniel's gonna later get he won the Great Lakes Championship a little after this. And so I went after him for the Great Lakes Championship, but the whole reason why I would go after him is to try to heal the relationship with the family. But when you go back and think about it, it made no sense because I turned against them, right? So
Yeah.
it made I'm trying to fix something that I screwed up, but I was able to play it off later as like, okay,
You can't fix it actually.
right. Actually, you know what? I played it again with my character because over in DBW, I would just screw things up for people and try to fix it, and, like
Well,
on
there
camera.
you go. Well,
So it's like a little running joke now.
crash test dummy, basically DBW style. And we are here with Kyle Shelby, by the way. If you haven't yet, please go out there and follow him. He is on Instagram. He is on Facebook. He's on TikTok, Shelby Visuals. He's also on YouTube. His stuff have all recently been reignited, and he is going to be a part of the backyard circuit here coming up very soon. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters. And if you're on Sportswire Radio, we're on sportswireradio.org right now. We're also on X. We're also on LinkedIn. We're on YouTube at Sportswire Radio 6579. Go hit that sub button for me. I'll also be here tomorrow with Nolan Money McDermott from Small Town Backyard Wrestling. I'm also here Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, speaking with those who used to be in the Global Backyard Wrestling Network. Sean Jovi, America's Rock Star, is here live, the America's Resident Rock Star. So those are our shows coming up here. Very big shows ahead. Also Friday, I'm here 10 o'clock Eastern Time, talking WWE, AEW, getting you ready for the NFL season, some Major League Baseball, and James Taylor, the ROEW owner. So if you want to make your case, Kyle Shelby, to join ROEW, James Taylor will be here live Sunday night, and he'll be talking a lot about ROEW. So we'll have to find out then, and we'll see if James Taylor grants you maybe a return to the backyard circuit. But will you be going out before then? Time will tell. But until then, we're watching a match from our friends in HCW, once upon a time in the Michigan area, a standard bearer when it came to the backyard wrestling circuit. So tell us, for the audience, where we're here in this match. Where are we right now, and how is it all progressing from your vantage point?
So it looks like I was just getting my ass kicked a little bit.
Pretty
and then
much.
I took myself out of there and tagged in Mike Chaos. I thought he could handle some business because James Crofton is not somebody I like to mess around with.
I can see that.
He's always been a thorn in my side, man. Every single time I would try to win that HCW World Tag Team Championship, he would just kick out and then punch me in the face, and then I'd get hurt and I'd get incapacitated for like 20 seconds, and then they'd start beating me up like they're doing right now. See, this is just normally how the matches go, and then weapons would get involved because yeah, kendo sticks, one of my favorite weapons to use, most definitely.
Well, he's definitely taking a beating right there. There's no question about that.
I'm going to take his eyes a little bit there. We're going to go ahead right there, JR. Yep. Oh, my God. Bye, guys. He's broken in half. Dang. Ow. That looked like that hurt.
You know what? As to quote Jim Ross, he's broken in half. He's broken in half.
This match gets really chaotic really fast. I'm not going to lie. Like, we had a lot of fun doing it. We went over
wrestling these. You've guy that's obviously had a lot of single success. You've been a big time guy, but how did you like a big match like this? Some guys love it, other guys not so much. But how did you like working a 6-man like this?
I thought it was fun. I would most definitely do it again. Absolutely. With the whole resurrection of even with the trios championships, I'm hoping some promotions get it because I'll put together a little faction. We'll come compete,
Well, in the backyard, it's really tag titles are kind of your equivalent to the trios titles. Because again, some feds have, a lot, 30, 40 people. Others may have a third of that. So it's obviously a tightrope, you might want to say, in terms of how do you incorporate a tag division or a Freebirds rule, whatever it might be. So, but I agree with you though.
And that I think that would be really cool, man, because I never held tag team gold. I was always singles for whatever reason. As much as I went after those tag team championships, the second me and Daniel split up as a team, he won the Great Lakes Championship. I went over to UWW, won that world title, and it was just different, But, things didn't work out that way. Maybe one day I could talk him into coming back and we can go after some tag gold together like we talked about when we were kids, man.
You know what? You never know. Listen, with your return, obviously impending return to the ring, that's absolutely a possibility for sure.
Heck yeah, man. I think that would be really cool. This kid, a lot of the moves I do now, I learned from Daniel. He had this one giant senton, and if you see how big this man is, that giant senton would murder somebody. And I swear to God, I do it all the time.
He reminded me, when I watched this before we were in the air, he reminded me in his look there was a guy that has come on my platform many times. His name is Kyle Kennedy. He used to be Kyle Kennedy, and they would call him the Lawman. And he looked
The
almost,
Lawman.
yeah, the Lawman Kyle Kennedy. He's actually a very well-known figure in the backyard, not the British independent wrestling circuit, and he looks like him here a little bit. But Kyle Kennedy was a controversial figure. Let's just put it that way. Kind of like an Anthony Steele of the British independent wrestling circuit, but pretty much think of it that way. But probably with less skills and couldn't do a Claymore. But he was big. You know, he held the world. He quote unquote won a world title. He quote unquote won a world title. But
He wasn't a pedophile, was he?
no, but there were other people that were related to some of those federations that were pedophiles. So yeah, there's a couple of them, and there was the Speak Out movement. But I'd rather not get into the Speak Out movement because I'd rather talk about your match instead.
Oh, I agree. I agree 100%.
But you know, you're on the outside. Talk about why you're on the outside here.
You know, I always go on the outside. I'm kind of like Jack Delta in a way. I'm an outsider, right? So I go outside the ring. But no, I like to fight outside the ring and just be dirty sometimes. And so I'm trying to figure out where we're at. I think I was beating up DeCarlo.
I think we're like in the second half of the match now, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure we're in the second half of the match as we speak, based on the timestamp. But we're going to find out soon enough.
So Crofton's still getting abused. That's crazy. Okay, let's see where we're going here. Big boot.
There, by the way.
That was nice. You said what? What'd you say, Tom?
I said that was a big boot. That was a huge big boot, is what I said. Then we see here kind of a little bit of a jawbreaker right there.
Yep, right onto the pallets, and then Crofton's going to lead it back up with a DDT. He's getting momentum. I don't know where this is coming from.
Well, sometimes you get that in a match. You get that little second adrenaline burst. You get that certain almost ability to come back, and now we're seeing they're in firm control right now, and you're standing on the apron right there, and you're getting on the turnbuckle, and you're about to do something here pretty big.
I was ballsy here because Daniel.
How about that big boot? That big boot, and how about that was
right to the face.
Kind of a almost a curb stomp off the top rope, sort of a curb stomp off the top rope.
It's like a single foot stomp. I don't like
turning to the crowd after that. Turning to the crowd. Interesting there. Turning to the crowd. I'm not sure why, but the match will continue to blow up here a little more.
Yeah, man, it gets chaotic with all of us in there. That's normally what that's happened like 5 different times.
Well, that's because you guys obviously bring something to the table that, you guys have that connection more or less.
Yeah, most definitely. I know with me and Diablo, Daniel, Colt, Jeff, all of us, man, we had something. In my head, the way I like to think about it is we were kind of like HCW's Team 3D, Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
Because we definitely not on that caliber, but in that category of type, of archetype.
But you guys had that chemistry with one another, similar to those teams in that they worked so well with each other because they fed off each other. They knew to kind of be the yin to the yang, and that's what you guys in this match did so well with each other. And there you go, back again off the top rope.
Yep, with that double stomp from the top, the Macho Man double stomp. I would lead it off with oh no, it's a bird, it's a plane. Oh no, it's Kyle Kaplan. And
Kyle Kaplan there had another looked like you had some type of inverted suplex there of some sort. And we see you here kicking your opponents, and you certainly see the match kind of breaking down here a little bit. And we see those almost fight-like punches, but that drop kick's not going to go anywhere there. But boy, is this kind of where you got some of your most ring time in the match so far, to tell you the truth. This is where your most, I guess, steady time here. You usually been on the outside throughout the match, but this is where you got about a good few minutes here in the ring.
Wow, I just noticed I got up like a weirdo right there.
How hard is that to be, standing on an apron and when you're used to being a singles guy? How hard is that to be able to just not be in every second?
Honestly, it's kind of annoying. I'm not gonna lie,
I
but
figured it would be because you're not doing anything. You're kind of standing around. It's almost like you're a third base coach in baseball. You're waiting around, waiting for the runner to come home. But other than that, you're just standing around the whole game.
I will say that it helps, and I just got eliminated. Heck yeah. Not my proudest moment.
Well, you went out with a bang.
Oh, what am I doing here?
Well, you're doing something.
Oh, I know exactly what's happening now. We're hitting Keplinitis here.
Oh, yeah. Boy, did that hurt. Boy, did that hurt.
Yeah, we had to bury him a little bit. It took my
Rest in peace. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, this match goes on forever, man. It was a good show. I'm not gonna lie. It was a lot of fun because a lot of people came out. It was kind of like I don't know. It kind of gave us hope. You know what I mean? It kind of laid the foundation for what we could do later, and that's what I was really trying to accomplish with DBW. Because after a while, DBW was able to get into it's a hotel, but it had like a ballroom that we were able to rent out, and that's the craziest thing. Like I was sitting in the ring in the ballroom. I'm like, wow, man, look at us.
Wild.
Ways.
That's wild. Hotel with a ballroom where you could have some wrestling in between. Rather,
Yup.
very interesting stuff. So I mean, almost seeing that got to put some fire in you. That going out there in this second comeback to be able to go out there and show why you were the Duke of Detroit. I think tonight we've gotten a chance to see a little bit of that from you. We've got that the fire's still there, that passion is there. You've seen people in this circuit speak to you a little bit. And I mean, there certainly could be that potential if it all works out that you could be out there and doing the things that 10 years ago you did, which made you a staple of this circuit.
Getting loud and getting controversial. Heck yeah, man. That's all, that's what I'm about. I don't know. It's just like a tick. It's something, it's like an itch. And I started getting that itch last February. I'm like, I have to come back somehow. So this has been almost a year planning and getting together. You know what I mean?
Is it now or never then?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think never is ever going to be a possibility, but I know it's going to happen very soon. No matter.
The clock isn't ticking then.
No, the clock's ticking, but there's no batteries in it.
Do you have any regrets?
No, not really.
Okay. No, so some people say, I wish it was this. Like, I've interviewed a lot of people. I've interviewed, Major League Baseball players who won the World Series. And I would always ask this question in my 6 years, would you have regrets? And some people say, no, if I had a chance, I'd do it the same way. Other people like, yeah.
If I could, I would tell myself to slow down a little bit, take a breath, slow down. You don't gotta. Not everyone's the enemy, you know what I mean? Especially other backyard guys. Because back in the Twitter days, when everybody was using Twitter, it was a war zone. It was a crazy.
This platform, I've seen some of it at times. I mean, it's at times there is that. I mean, it's still there. I mean, there's no question that there is just. It's like anything else. There's ego. There's people that you know.
And that's what I was back to say, man. Just don't let the ego get ahead of you. Let the actions show. Because I'm getting up there, man. I'm almost 30. I'm turning 27 here in 15 minutes, which is pretty cool.
Your birthday,
yes, sir.
Up in 15 minutes. So I'm going to stay on the air to wish you a happy birthday. So,
all right, I appreciate that.
What is your plan for your birthday then?
I work. I work So I mean, I'm gonna be working, but when I come home, I'm gonna be enjoying some of this wax that I got in this cartridge, and I'm gonna probably play some chess and watch some wrestling.
That's what was yesterday's show was Comatose and RTG was they were talking about chess and checkers. It was chess and checkers they were talking about. And you're actually talking about that here. The irony of that. Boy, what a small world there. But happy birthday to be on the air. What a time to be alive. 27. So how's that going to feel to be 27?
You know, it's a very controversial age. You know, a lot of people have sadly left this world at that age. I don't plan on doing that, but it's definitely in a right.
Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, right? Was it Janis Joplin? All 27, right? And they all died at 27 or something like that, right?
Yup. So I'm like, wow, that's a little interesting. But you know, I don't think that applies to me. I don't think I'm that
So in
influential.
backyard wrestling history, I mean, you certainly might be compared to some of those names.
Oh, cool. I mean, you know, I haven't really said anything that crazy tonight, but you never know.
Although Jack Helter always says that I have a Mount Rushmore supposed to be 4 and mine are like 44, but you know, hey, you know, maybe you know, but no, I mean, look, you know, 27 is kind of like the age they say that if you cut, like, if you're gonna like ask a girl out, the age is like divided by like 3, so it means that any like 18's too young, so 21 would be the age that you could, like, if you ask a girl out less than 21, it's like too old for you now. So 27, it's got to be 21 and up. You ask a girl out for something like that. I don't know what that's what it was. People used to say, I'm a little bit older than you, not by much, but that's what people told me when I was turning 27. I don't know. I'm 33, so I don't know if that's the whole, I don't know if it's true or not, but you know, who knows? But that's good. You're turning 27. Happy birthday to you. We're here with Kyle Shelby for a little while longer. We'll hang on here till he turns the big 27. So definitely looking forward to seeing what he does here. He's getting ready to return to the ring very soon. He's returning here, I know, on this platform very soon as well. And my name again is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally, we're all wrestling matters. Let me ask you this question then. Do you have any advice for anybody that's in the yard currently? Any advice you want to share with anybody here? Anything that you'd like to share advice-wise?
Absolutely, man. Have fun. Have fun and learn as much as you can. You know, don't, when people come to you and say, "Hey, man, you know, this could be cool," or you know, maybe try doing something like this. Absolutely, talk to your friends about it, but like, listen, just try and listen, because that was one thing I always had a problem with when I was younger. My ego. I thought I was so great, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I just feel like that's something I can also offer, is being like a big brother to guys, man. So it's like I've said a lot of stupid stuff, man. I haven't done anything crazy, but like I've said a lot of stupid stuff. And you know, there's a lot of bridges that were burnt back 6 years ago. You know, nothing speak out movement wise.
I would hope not. I would hope not.
No, sir. That's a little too crazy to me. You know, keep them fools out of our community. That would be great, right?
Yeah.
My hands are rated E for everyone, though. You know what I mean? We don't gotta call DAP on anybody around here.
And want to get a couple of comments in here also. Let me say hello to Mr. Justin Parsley, Forever 27 Club. Hope you escaped that. And I want to say hello to Mr. Osiris, the legendary Osiris, who hasn't been here in a while. And obviously, I don't blame him. Osiris wants to say cheers to yours truly and a fellow Kyle. Keep up the great work, guys.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure you're a big Osiris fan. We're all big Osiris fans on this platform. All big Osiris fans.
100%. When I was like 13, I always wanted to be like Osiris, man. You know, I remember him taking a fat back suplex or whatever into a giant table covered in light tubes from Wicked J back in like,
yes.
You know, and he quit for a little bit, came back and fucked everybody up. It was great. You know,
I think Osiris is a guy kind of like, for us, Rad Dad, even though Rad Dad fully jumped into the independents, obviously, in GTS, but like guys like Osiris and Rad Dad, the community on this platform these past several months really identify with both of them, because Osiris, he really is one of us. Osiris is really one of those guys that, people, he's real. He's real.
Yeah.
And he's definitely real. And yes, we're not trying to make him old, by the way. But you mentioned the stuff. But Justin Parsley has a good one, or maybe not so good one. So, what are the age limits for guys in their mid 30s? Are 21-year-olds out of the question asking for a friend? So, what are the age limits for guys? I mean, I'm not a love line expert. I mean, I'm the worst person in the world to ask on that, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you that answer. I mean, isn't Bill Belichick, by the way, the former New England Patriots head coach? Isn't he going out with like a 24-year-old and he's like 73? And Mick Jagger's got to be like 180 and he's going out with a 35 or 36-year-old dancer who he has a kid with. So, I guess there really is no limits. Yeah, Mick Jagger as a kid with Melanie Hamrick, I think she's got to be about 35 or 36, and he's 81. So, and then there's again Bill Belichick. It's alleged that Bill Belichick was going out with a New England Patriots former cheerleader she's got to be 24, 25. It was in the papers like 3 months ago. So, if those old dudes who probably, you want to talk about, let's not go there and some of the things, but this is a family show, unlike some other shows. But if those guys are kicking it with people that they could be old enough to be their great-great-grandfathers, I don't know what the limits are then. I guess the limits are off, could be anything.
Can say 22. Just say and a half.
Yeah.
That would work.
20, yeah, I got 22, 23, I guess. But again, if you're Bill Belichick, if you're, again, Mick Jagger and Justin saying that's sleazy, to be honest, I think it is kind of sleazy, to be honest. I think Mick Jagger, God bless Mick Jagger, but to be 81 and go and have a kid with a 30-something, I almost shudder at what that kid's going to be like, because Mick Jagger ain't going to be around. He ain't going to be shaking around and doing Rolling Stone shows 15 years from now. It's just not possible. So, I don't know what to say on that. Then there's, again, Bill Belichick, apparently Bill Belichick. Mick Jagger, at least, I could see Mick Jagger at least. Steven Tyler was going out with like a 30-year-old or something like that, but I could see them. But Bill Belichick, it's like, again, listen, but money certainly, can walk, obviously. And people say I'm the guy with the money. They make me look poor. And I'm certainly, a guy that's done pretty well in life. But I don't know what the question is. That's a love line question, Justin. Justin, you could ask that on the Silver Wolf show. I'm sure he'll give you a better answer on that. But, obviously, yeah. Oh, you've watched his show, Silver Wolf?
Man. There's something about that guy.
Have you been asked to be a guest yet?
I blocked that man. I'm not gonna lie.
You blocked him? Why? Well, tell the audience why.
Wolf man is weird. He was wearing an ankle monitor. This man was wearing an ankle monitor. There was a rumor going around about him and his sister or something like that. I could be wrong, but
I know nothing about it. I don't get in people's.
But I'm just saying. I was trying really hard not to just humiliate this man on the phone. So I just thought it was a better idea to block him, honestly, just because I thought he was weird. He gave me the creeps. And Jack Delta could tell you I'm a crazy guy. I really don't care about how you
on social media. I knew you a little bit before this interview, but listen, that's
he just gave me creeps, man. That another thing was too, he kind of broke a really big rule. He made a flyer or whatever with a professional Fed's name on it, and they emailed him or something and made a whole big thing about it. And I had to block him after that. I cannot show. I thought it would be okay. Hey, I'll go help.
I'll be honest. I know your birthday's coming, but it'll tie into the positivity before we start, because I want to actually stay on the air till your birthday. But I've really been trying to move away from things like that, because there's too many people that really deserve a chance in the backyard circuit to be here in the underground circuit. Even though I know that the views, I'm sure, would be through the roof, but I really believe in giving people that are really going out there and putting their blood, sweat, and tears out there for the right reasons to be here on this platform. So I'd rather not go into a certain group of individuals that kind of, when people think of backyard wrestling and they have certain things in their mind, those names come up. So I'd rather not go down that road. I wish them nothing but the best. And I obviously hope that they make it to WWE, which I doubt they will. But I really at this point rather move away from some. Even though I know, listen, it's obviously would mean more views, but I don't think it's really. There's too many people that would like to be here, and Justin Parsley, for whatever reason, gives up the face, I guess the nose and the eyeballs with Silver Wolf and the Silver Wolf emoji. That's why Justin Parsley is an outsider and Jack Delta's the outsider. And we are here about from your birthday. So we'll certainly look forward to celebrating a happy birthday with you. And I hope you come back here more often on Sportswire. I hope you come back and give us some news in the ring and such and everything else. You come back.
And hopefully I can find somebody to start something with, man, because, that would be really cool. If you see me running up into a promotion, I'll go anywhere. It doesn't matter. As long as I can get it squared away with my job. Yeah, heck yeah. Let's run it. I have no problem. I'll come out there for a week. Let's do something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, you never know. Listen, if you want to travel, I mean, who knows? I mean, it's a word that travels quite a bit. And if you want to get out there, I'm sure that there'll be somebody that would want to have you back out there. And I think Justin and Osiris just want to wish you happy birthday right away. So we are going to wish you a happy birthday. I know we're about a few seconds away from it, but happy birthday to you. And I hope you have a great day. I hope it's the best one yet. I truly believe in the motto of the best is yet to come. And whatever you do, whatever your heart desires, whether it's in the wrestling world, whether it's in anything else, and definitely, I really believe that you'll have everything your heart desires. And I just, want to say happy birthday to you. And thank you for all you do. Thank you for coming on here. And just, I really think it'll be just the best birthday yet. Don't work too hard on your birthday. I hope you come back and, celebrate. Oh, it's always awkward to work on your birthday, but yep, it's a birthday in the house. And Osiris is wishing you a happy birthday. Think of it this way. You got the best birthday gift yet because you were a big Osiris fan. And here we are all these years later, and the legendary Osiris Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer just wished you a happy birthday. And the PWF World Champion, a man who just dropped your friend Jack Delta on his head 2 weeks ago, Justin Parsley, just wished you a happy birthday. Pretty good, I think, at least.
Heck yeah, man. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate that. That really did make my day. Not going to lie. Thank you.
The day's starting off in style. It's starting off great. You've been great with us, and we definitely want to wish you a very happy birthday. And before I get to final thoughts, I want to make sure people also put this link up here for you. And speaking of people that heard you were traveling, Nicholas Crenton, of course. Nicholas Crenton, who's one half of the IMF Hardcore Tag Team Champions, also wants to wish you a happy birthday. And Nicholas Crenton was in action for WCE. He was there, rise to the occasion, the 3rd anniversary. He did some commentary. He also wrestled for their World Championship. Wants to wish you a happy birthday. Obviously, the Midwest, the word travels. You guys, Wisconsin, Michigan, who knows? Maybe we could see Mr. Shelby and the Duke of Detroit in Appleton. Who knows? I mean, you never know. And you just you're gonna get a follow from Osiris because of this. Osiris is gonna follow you on Instagram. There you go. Yeah. Thank you very much. So Nicholas Crenton, you're out there. Go give Mr. Shelby a follow. Justin Parsley, go give him a follow. Let's give this guy even more better birthday gifts and give him a couple extra follows on Instagram. Support those who support us. And I hope Osiris will be back one of these days when things die down a bit. I really think that we want to move. We don't want to talk about some of the things out there. And I really appreciate Osiris with those kind words. And that's why we love Osiris. I speak with Osiris from time to time. I don't tell him anything about wrestling. I just want to tell him that, we support him. We love him here on Sportswire, and he is one of the greatest to have ever done it. And we are Team Osiris all the way on this platform. Team Osiris. Doesn't matter. Yes. And he actually might have an announcement soon. So I'll get in touch with you, Osiris, when we're off the air. Maybe we'll bring a date for Osiris to come back onto Sportswire. Yeah, so there you go. So doing some good things tonight on the platform, a lot of good stuff. It's time to give you the floor, give you some closing thoughts, let you celebrate that birthday of yours, go party like it's 2016 and get in the backyard circuit for HCW. And I passed the baton to you, my friend. It was a lot of fun. Got to celebrate your birthday. I'll make sure I get a nice little birthday clip on Instagram for this in a few minutes. And anything else you want to plug, share, or say, my friend, I now pass it over to you.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate this, man. Just being on here was really cool. It was a fun experience. We had a lot of laughs. Yeah, no, definitely. I really hope I can get back out there really soon, within the next month or so. Show you guys like, hey, this old cat can do it. This old chunk of coal can still do it. I'm over here saying that at 27, right? But like, yeah, no, definitely. I would love to work anybody. We can make something happen. Let me be a villain again. Let me be somebody y'all hate again. Let's stir that pot up a little bit. Let's draw some numbers and make some history, man. I think that would be fun. Do something people haven't done before.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would hope. I mean, we're all gonna hope, and we want to see everybody get back out there. And why not you? And I mean, start this year off in style. 27. It's a new year. It's a new day, and let's lead you into the ring. And I mean, Osiris said he's drinking 3 for him. I don't drink actually, so you can drink it all because I do not drink it all. So you can have all of it. It's your birthday, but yeah, I mean, we want to see you back out there, and I just really am excited. I'm excited to hopefully have you back next time, and there'll be a match to watch on the air. We'll get into that, and maybe we'll see if these other promotions out there want to talk with you. We can certainly see what happens, and everything else in between. It was great meeting you finally, and just thank you for all that you've done for our sport. Thank you for everything that you've done, and just being out there. And I look forward to the second stage of your career. I look forward to this new phase, and like I said, the best is yet to come, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Tom. I cannot wait for the next show that you do too, man. I will definitely be here. Oh shoot, phone died.
We'll let you go then.
And the phone died. Great.
That's okay. We're going to let you run. That's okay. That was Mr. Kyle Shelby. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. That was Kyle Shelby, and I want to thank him for tuning in, and want to thank everybody for being here tonight. And I'll be here tomorrow, by the way. I'll be here at 11 o'clock Eastern time with Nolan Money McDermott of Small Town Backyard Wrestling. And Thursday, I'll be here with Sean Jovi, 8 o'clock Eastern time, to honor and recognize WCE. You'll definitely want to tune into all of that. But happy birthday, Kyle Shelby. I wish that you were with us here at the end. And I'm always on the grind. I'm grinding to 1,000 subs. I'm 125 away. I've done 156 shows in like 106 days. And I'll continue to keep going out there. Anything I can do for our community, I'll do. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. Thank you so much for all of your support. Osiris, I'll talk to you in a few minutes, and maybe we can figure a date to bring you back on. And thank you, everybody. Yeah, I'm 125 away, but I'm going to get there. But you can rest assured I will. From where I started to where I am now, the best is yet to come. Thank you so much, everybody, for all of your support. If you're on sportswireradio.org, you're going back to your regularly scheduled programming. If you're, again, on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, X, hit the sub button for me at Sportswire Radio 6579. And I will see everybody tomorrow. And until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are.